So up next, we have a panel session. We've been extremely lucky to secure our diaries of our heads of business units across Europe. I can't tell you how excited I am. So we have Stephen Vindevogel from the TOUGHBOOK team. Give us a wave, Stephen. Maybe he's feeling a little bit shy, but anyway, there's Stephen. We've also got Markus Jahn, who heads up the media and entertainment division for Europe. Hi, Jahn. We've got David Sempere from the visual team, Meterian from the Pro AV and broadcast team, Gerard from the security team, and last but not least, Shawn Aoki from the supply chain solutions team. Are you all ready?
Yes, we are.
Great.
Good.
Thumbs up and everything. Great.
Okay, let's start with the first question. Over to you, Dan.
So this is from me, and I'm going to go to David. So the pandemic has obviously changed the way we work drastically. How do you see the future of the workspace being in the next few years?
Yeah, hi, Dan. Good morning, and good morning, everybody. But definitely, I think definitely COVID has been accelerating somehow what was already a trend. So nowadays, there are many surveys already in the market, which already indicates that more than half of the people, after they are able to return to the office, so they want still to keep like from 2 to 4 days still on a home office based, right? So in this regard, so what we are expecting is definitely the office environment is going to become more a kind of a collaboration area where people can meet to collaborate and create together, right? So on a free environment. So it means more flexible type of spaces, definitely, where people can gather together. So definitely, so that will change from the, let me say, the past approach into the workspace in the office, which was more from, let me say, sitting passively in the office, to a more building environments that encourage debate and creation, right? So, and in this regard, technology definitely is going to have a quite relevant point, right? So technology that can allow different generations working on the same office environment to collaborate together, whether this is via bring your own devices, or whether this is with wireless presentation systems, or whether this is with kind of interactive screens, but definitely that they can utilize the spaces in the office to collaborate together, bring people who might be working remotely also into the same business, and to eventually create together. So definitely the home office approach has come, and COVID has accelerated definitely, and has come and will remain, right? So, and that will emphasize more the usage of the office environment, let me say, to create and collaborate even further than what used to be before.
Perfect, thank you. And Jahn, do you agree with David? Or maybe you completely disagree?
Maybe I completely. Hey, first, good morning. I think important is, of course, since David already gave a little heads up, I think important is also given the audience today, and even if our digital format works perfectly fine until now, it is a pity, of course, that I can't really see our audience. But as Frederick said before, first, of course, that pretty much depends maybe on the industry you're working in and what type of job you're doing. What David was referring to is typically, say, more our own environment, kind of a knowledge-intensive office working environment. And I think if that specific area, what we are talking right now in this panel, I think there's three keywords is really important for that very segment. And David already gave one of them. I think it's about flexibility, it is about connectivity, and it is about collaboration, as David said. The home office, say the design or the shape of the home office is not so much in our focus. Of course, we are kind of a B2B company. I would say the home office is maybe more a B2C view. For that reason, all our solutions, for example, the solutions we provide are really dedicated for knowledge-intensive office work, and specifically in the area of collaboration and connectivity. But to that extent, I certainly agree, of course, that that trend COVID has accelerated is probably irreversible. But I feel, if I may add, very much that even though people right now really enjoy the work at home with less time to travel, to commute, I think we will see people over time also willing to go back to the office, because that's the place, of course, where they can meet, where they can interact, where they need to have a space for creative work, for creativity, that after all, of course, also employers, that means also ourselves, we have to secure this environment for the people. But again, of course, nobody knows exactly what's going to happen in the future, but I think also people will be, over time, will be more willing to go back to the office, frankly speaking. Because one last comment from my side is, I personally find it extremely difficult. The routine works, you can get them done with the digital tools, of course, but really to have an engagement of the people. The engagement of the people, I think, is, at least for me, is extremely difficult to sense in all these digital formats. Our infrastructure is working well. Our tools, we have the tools, but that specific point of engagement, which you still need, I think that is a point I'm really missing in all this digital perfection, I want to say.
Perfect, thanks, Jahn. As someone with 2 young kids at home, I can't wait to get back to the office. So we've actually got a couple of polls live at the moment. So have you been back to the office since January 2021, so start of the year? And it looks like about almost 50% have been back a few times already, so that's promising. So next question, Becca.
Yeah, so Stephen, I'm going to come to you next with what does the new normal for the mobile workforce look like? How do we see digitisation playing a part?
Yeah, thank you, Becca, and thank you, Dan. So as you know, with TOUGHBOOK, as you know really well, we have always been focused on the mobile worker, mobile workforce, mobile working in general. And as my colleagues already mentioned, I think we are now in a very hybrid model. I think that is going to be the future, where a lot of people, even people who were completely office-based before, will go to a hybrid model. And there are a few challenges with that. There are also a few advantages, of course. And the advantages is that, for a company, it's easier to hire people because distance isn't so important anymore. The ability also to flow through, as in, we work in synchronizing with other people, but we also have the ability to work whenever it's, is the best for us or for our customers in that perspective. So we can, have flexibility in schedules, we can have flexibility in locations. So in overall, I think we will have a very hybrid workforce model. Now, a few challenges, and that was also mentioned before, is maintaining company culture, right? If you don't meet up in person, the challenge will be to maintain a kind of, team spirit, company culture in general. And also, we need to be very honest with that, is sustaining productivity. Also traceability of people. It will be a very complex environment, regardless that there's a lot of advantages in the work-life balance, which could lead to higher productivity. But companies would certainly want to measure the productivity of the people. So when you look at digital workplaces, in my opinion, there's a few challenges which absolutely can be solved with technology. So easy access is necessary. Security is also going to be, forever a very big issue or point of attention in working remotely. And again, what I said is working on that collaboration, providing the right tools to have a kind of virtual community feeling, that there's a strong feeling that you work together on something. And I think that tools are available. We just need to make sure that they are spread widely over the users, so that everybody is used to working on shared documents, used to work in shared spaces where people see the progress on projects and things that are done. But in general, I think if we are very mindful of the challenges, the advantages will be certainly become more prominent. I think that there's a huge acceleration, of course, which was mentioned towards mobile working, and I think that that is going to be on the long term showing a lot of advantages to our working environment in general.
yet we've definitely seen, I guess, a hybrid kind of workforce at the moment. How about you, Andre? Anything to comment on the mobile workforce?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Becca, and yeah, hi everyone, and good morning. So regarding the mobile workforce, I will touch much more the broadcast industry, which we are in charge at Panasonic with the broadcast division. The way of working went definitely remote. The people are increasingly working remotely for corporate events and so on. And I have to say, one of the main issue we saw during the past almost 18 months now is really this increase in the remote production. So for sure, at the very beginning was a bit chaotic, and but now there is plenty of tools which allow such kind of remote production coming in. I would say as well the sports event where from the past, let's say the people, they were watching just the super high-end activities, matches, and so on. But now there is really a way with this kind of remote production to do captation and to do program for universities, for second-tier sports, and so on. So definitely, I see the remote operation becoming more and more important. This does not mean the live and the historic activity we had will not come back or will not return. I still believe the people, they like to gather together. They like to have a concert all together and huge football matches or Olympic Games to come in a few weeks now. But I think it will be a kind of hybrid for the productions.
Perfect, thank you so much. So we actually had a question about whether Panasonic have got leasing options for mobile workers. We do indeed, and I think Stephen will be very happy that I'm going to mention TOUGHBOOK as a service. So if you go to the Expo booth, you can go there and find out some more info. So next up, we're going to be talking about the future of education. So we actually had a question from Donnie about this as well. So this links in very nicely. So across Europe, we've seen many school closures affecting all levels of education, in particular higher education. So let's go to Jahn. So how do you see the future of education? Hear me, Jahn?
Yes, I just said from the future of workspace to the future of education. As you said, then the higher education is one of our particular focuses in our media entertainment business from both sides because of the cameras where we can record content and stream with the software where we're partnering with an external or with a third-party company, and also with the visualization of content at the university itself with our projectors and displays. I think most of the universities already have adopted a hybrid system where they work partly digitally, partly remotely. But again, also what Andre mentioned before, I feel that students, even though technology is existing and makes it possible, I think even students, they want to come back to campus. They want to meet with other students, of course, not only remotely. And I feel specifically the remote format is working well when it gets to large lecturing rooms or large lectures with, say, little interaction. But whenever you have a smaller group, smaller seminars with, I don't know, 10 to 30 people or 10 to 20 people, I think that level of interaction is still difficult to be replicated digitally in a remote format. Again, we provide the technology to make it as easy as possible for the higher universities to secure that hybrid way of learning. But personally, I feel people are eager to get back to campus. And I think in the long run, both systems will most probably compete. That means a digital format with a campus or with a format on campus. And that is fine, of course, having two different forms competing in the long run. So that is my view.
Perfect. And how about Andre? What are your thoughts on higher education and the future of it?
Yes, sorry for the mute. Yeah, the higher education is becoming really an important market segment for Panasonic, especially since before the pandemic already, we started to have a large room, as Jahn mentioned, equipped with Panasonic PTZ camera, for example, and such kind of switcher, entry-level switcher. But definitely since 18 months now, most of the universities and high school in Europe are either already equipped or on the way to equip themselves for the future. We see even university not willing, at least until 2022, to have a foreign student coming in. So I think this as well, I believe, is something where the focus has been placed since 18 months ago. To be frank and honest, because my daughter is a student as well, so I believe still there is a real need to gather together and to meet together, and it cannot be a one way only. For that, it can be an additional way of working, an additional way of study. But I do believe it will be there as well, a kind of mix.
Perfect, thank you. And David, how about you? Have you got some thoughts? I have a feeling you do.
Yeah, I agree with what Jahn and Andres said. Maybe I would add one point. What Jahn said, still students want to return to campus, right? So, and definitely the campus experience for the students is a must, right? So it's where some of them find even their partners sometimes, right? So definitely that experience is a must for them, right? So, however, these remote lectures, I believe, is allowing them or giving to them some additional benefits, right? So as Jahn said, it can both work together and will work together parallelly, right? So students can review difficult contents, for instance, or review materials, right? Or some lectures they miss, right? So, but maybe one point I would add also, and this is going maybe to a broader learning concept, right? So I don't think that's going to be only a trend that will continue on the higher education. So I believe also on the corporate space, for the corporate companies, and linking this to what Andres said before, right? So many companies are equipping now with the studios to create a better content, better quality content eventually, right? So I believe that that will be also a trend on the corporate space, because eventually on the corporate space, so the learning is becoming an everyday thing, right? So it's not something you do once and then you stop. That's definitely an everyday thing. And I believe also corporations, given the investments they are doing now on the new content creations, definitely that will accelerate also on the learning platforms and the learning support they are providing to their employees.
Thanks, David. I think this ties in quite nicely because it's a similar kind of topic, but we're looking at the impact of COVID-19 on live events as well, because we can see, as today, we are virtual. So how do we think that the live events will look moving forward? Do we think there'll be hybrids or live events will come back? We've actually got a poll in the chat, so we can see that the majority of people think that events will become a mix of virtual and live. But David, back to you. What do you think about live events?
Live events is definitely one of our core segments, right? So it's where we have really a full range of products, from capturing from the cameras up to visualization with the projectors and throughput with Kairos, right? So, but definitely COVID has been massively impacting the live events, right? So I think everybody is 100% aware about that, right? So, however, at the same time, I believe people is really thriving and asking to return to live events, right? So of course it depends on what type of live event you're talking about. I'm sure once the pandemic is overcome, so people will be strongly willing to go to concerts, right? So to go to events, to enjoy with friends, right? So, and I don't think that will be changed by a virtual platform. However, I have to say definitely. So I think all of us, including even Panasonic as a corporation, we have been learning within this year on how to create different type of events, on how do we maximize the reach of our events and like these hybrid platforms that, online platforms we are using at the moment. So I believe there will be a type of events in the future which will be hybrid for sure, right? So I believe that will be more on the corporate space, right? So definitely I believe corporations will use more this kind of hybrid events or online events. But when we are talking more about concerts or entertainment, or what we are calling location-based entertainment, definitely in this regard, or digital museums, that kind of entertainment, so will continue live. So I believe both, in summary, will coexist, and definitely the hybrid events will have their space. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. So we're just going to move on to AI and security. So as we've seen earlier, AI is a very hot topic at the moment, and Panasonic is one of the key movers and drivers in that industry. So we're going to go to Gerard. So I've got a two-parter question for you. So how is AI affecting the security and CCTV industry, and how can laws and legal obligations be met with this new technology?
Thanks, Dan, and good morning, everyone. Yeah, definitely AI is being a game changer in all the industries, but also in particular in the security industry. The main reason for this change is that security industry has been growing over the last years a lot. So a lot of cameras has been added in place, mainly used as a post-search event. So as a reactive approach into the actions that happen or the incidents that happen. However, what AI can bring proactivity into the information that is gathered from the scenarios. Because basically it's not anymore gathering the video image, it's gathering the data. And as the industry has been growing a lot and more cameras are in place, filtering all this data, filtering all this information is really, really important. So that's why AI, by being accurate into the information filtering that is gathered, is really key in order to know what's really a must-known data and what is the data that cannot be necessary at this time. So it's moving basically from a reactive approach that it's been done till before to a more proactive approach that we are seeing from now on. And this movement is also done with the evolution of the technology. While previously AI was already in, so maybe 2 or 3 years ago. However, it's moving from the server side, from the headquarters location into the field side, into the edge. So the cameras today, Panasonic iPro cameras, are really equipped with enough powerful hardware inside that you can build up analytics on the edge, on the camera side, which give us flexibility, autonomous, and possibility that any kind of data can be analyzed. But I would like to highlight about your second question about the privacy. I understand everyone has privacy concerns about the usage of cameras and the usage of analytics. But what I would like to highlight is that basically the camera is focused on the patterns, on the behavior. It's not focused on the individuals. So we are not looking for what each individual person are doing or each individual identity is doing. It's basically about the patterns that are going there, which are the behaviors that are seen in a particular scenario. By understanding this kind of patterns, we can take the necessary actions in different industries, such as retail or logistics, by shortening the queues, or moving people into the areas that are needed. So we can take the necessary actions without having any impact into the GDPR. And furthermore, I would like to mention that from Panasonic, as we are really concerned about the privacy and we are fully compliant about GDPR, we have the first application that we have developed is our AI privacy word, which is allowing to make a filter onto identifying who is the individual, who are the people. However, we can still gather the metadata and we can still do the necessary analysis without having any identification of the particular person.
Perfect.
Thanks, Gerard. So we got one last question, I think, for the panel in the interest of time. We saw from the video from Nishiyama-san, first thing, on Gemba process innovation, that businesses and technology companies are being required to be much more agile than ever before. So much so that a single technology company alone will probably never keep up. So what solutions do we think can enable this? And Shawn, this is for you. How can you explain Gemba process innovation and how it can support this change?
Yeah, Thanks, Becca. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, so from my perspective, technology company needs to embrace of the external cooperation more and more. Since change of society become rapid than ever and getting complex, each firm can and should use external idea technology as well as internal idea technology and resource in order to resolve new social issue in a timely manner. In this case, external consists not only partner and or rival company, but also the customer. And another key factor here to keep up change of customer and society is taking issue-driven approach, which is also the key essence of Gemba process innovation. We need to focus on customers' fundamental issue based on deep observation of customers' business operation. Usually, technology companies tend to come up with their own technology and stick to those technology to resolve the issue. But nowadays, it's not the right solution, particularly such a rapid change society. Right approach here is understanding customers' fundamental issues fast and find the best combination of technology and services from internal to external resource to resolve those customers' fundamental issues. This is the essence of Gemba process innovation.
Thanks, Shawn. It's very helpful to understand more about Gemba process innovation. I'm really sorry, guys, but time is up. We've had quite a few questions in the chat, so if you can take a look at the chat and reply to some, I think our attendees would really like that.